Welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the type tool and type tool options. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go to File, New, and we're going to set this up the same size that I'm going to want you to set your poster up when you do get started. For size, I want you to click on Tabloid. That should put it to 11 by 17. You can make this either vertical or horizontal. So if you want it horizontal, you'd click here, but it doesn't matter for this lesson and for the project. You can pick whichever one you prefer. Let's immediately go to File, Save As. I want you to save this in your lessons folder or in your print shop folder. And I want you to call it Type Lesson. All right, let's get ready to roll. So some basics about the type tool. Here's our type tool right here. When you click on it, the control panel at the top, you'll notice you still have the fill and you have an outline stroke. So you can both fill and outline the text. Here's your stroke size. We'll open up the expanded stroke panel a little bit later. You can change the opacity of the letters. If we have time, we'll play with that today. You have the character panel, which again, we'll open later. You have your font. This is where you could change it to bold, italics, etc., depending on the font. Some have those options, some don't. And then obviously your point size. So let's get started simply by clicking. And let's change our font size to 72. Right now, we're not going to care what we have our font or color on, and I simply want you to type your name. All right, to alter this, pretty simplistic. Click and drag to highlight. You can change your color up here. You can also do it by double clicking here and changing your font color. Go and apply a stroke. I want you to take the point size up to 2 and grab your selection tool. I'm going to drag. I'm actually going to make my color a little bit different so I can see the contrast better. Okay, notice I didn't even have to highlight it. Sometimes I highlight it. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. It's just the computer's kind of funny like that. All right, with the move tool, notice you can move it around. I can make it bigger or smaller. I can also distort the proportions of it this way. It's kind of fun, kind of cool. I can even rotate it. So if I let my cursor hover, I'll get this double-headed arrow, so you can rotate it if you so choose. I can change the font of just 1 or 2 letters. To change the font, this is kind of fun, so we're going to do this. We're just going to change the font of 1 letter. I clicked on the font up here 1 time, so it highlights it, and then I'm just using my scroll button on my mouse. So it'll show you in real time what that's going to look like. Grab your move tool. All right, I'm going to resize mine just a little bit, so we've got some room because we're going to do a lot here today. Hold on your Alt key. And I want you to click and drag to create a copy of this. I'm going to straighten it out just because it's annoying me right now, but you don't have to. And I'm going to show you how you can have a little bit more fun beyond the basics of just changing the color, changing the font. If you want to play a little bit more, you can, feel free. But here's how we even go crazier. We're going to click up on this simply by right-clicking, and I want you to go to Create Outlines. When you do, it takes it so that it's basically no longer a type tool or typed letter, font letter, and makes it a shape. And you should then get all the anchor points that were used to create the letter. If you grab your direct selection tool, you may have to zoom in to do this. If you grab your direct selection tool and you click on those anchors, double click to make them active, you can edit the individual points, so you can literally reshape letters if you want to. Kind of weird and crazy. You can even change the curve. So go ahead and do that on a couple of your letters. Oops. Got to remember to double click that. And then click your move tool again just to deactivate that, to deselect it. Okay, we're going to move on again. This time we're going to talk about that text wrap, or in Illustrator what we call typing on a path. I want you to grab your pen tool, which is this tool here. We've had a little bit of instruction in it. Remember what it does is it plots points. So I want you to click and drag up with it. So it's going to tell us we're going to have a curve. And somewhere over to the right, I want you to click, drag down. And then one more time, we're going to click and drag up. So basically, I just want a curve. Now we've got a closed in shape here. We're going to fix that. So click your move tool. It should activate it. I want to change this to white. It's really not going to matter in a second, but that's just for me. So I want to be able to see the line a little bit better. All right. I want you to go into the type drawer, and I want you to grab something that's called Type on Path. When you bring this cursor, so right now it's like an eye and it's got a little curve in it. I want you to bring it close to that line, and you'll notice, see where it says path? That means it's located a path. I want you to click on it, and I want you to type your name again. Notice it's going to follow right along that. I can still edit that. I can highlight it. I can change my font. I can change the size if I need to. If I want to go above 72, which is the default, you have to highlight the text. I can make some modifications. Click on the move on the regular selection tool, and you're going to get these little handlebars. What it does is it shifts where it flows. So I can start and stop it. So you move it here. You can still elongate it, still change it. And this is just, it's where it lets it start and stop. So if I pull this stop way back, you're going to see that my hello disappears because I've not given it enough room. So sometimes if you run out of room, you have to drag that bar. Okay. Right now it's left aligned. If I click on it and I click up here, see where it says left, center, right. So if I click on center, see how it's going to move it? If I do right, it's going to center it to the right. So that's your alignment. So left, center, right. All right, so go ahead and let's make that center aligned and then hit your gray space outside to deactivate it. Let's go ahead and go to File, Save it this time. All right. A couple more tools in the type toolbox that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the vertical type tool while we're waiting for my computer as it's wanting to crash. It's a Monday for me, so it doesn't want to work today. All right, here we go. We're going to deal with the vertical type tool. It works just like it sounds. So if you click on it, it's going to do your word, your name, whatever word you're using today, and it's going to make it go up and down. Pretty simple. But go ahead and do that just so I see that you've located that tool. While we're on the text wrap or type on path, if you want to add some more, you can. You can continue playing with that. But we're going to go on and we're going to do an area type fill. So click in the gray space to deactivate that. Actually, let's do one more type on path. So let me show you. We did that with the pen tool. Let's grab our rectangle tool. I want you to set your fill to none, and let's do your stroke at black. And I want you to click and drag a square. Grab that same type on path tool. Let's do it one more time. And I want you to locate the path. You got to wait for that green path and go ahead and type. Okay, so that's just, I just wanted to show you that you don't have to use the pen tool. You can do it on one of the shape tools. I'm taking my font size down so I can see it a little bit, and I'm just hitting the down arrow. And this is where, again, I could change that start and stop. So I can move that around. I can change my alignment. Okay, so go ahead and do that. I want to see a box somewhere. Notice that when you do the type on path, whatever you use, so the box, that black stroke is no longer there. Same thing with here. This path, I created that black stroke and the blue kind of fill it had. It's gone. Once you use the type on path, the shape of the path itself will disappear and it only leaves the type. All right, now let's go ahead and go on to that content tool. Let's grab the ellipse tool. Same thing, stroke set to black and your fill set to none. And I want to click and drag a circle. All right. We're going to open up a file. Let's go to File, Open. And in the Courses folder, go to Art. Go to Computer Graphic Lessons. Illustrator Lessons. There should be a folder in here called Type Lesson. And I want you to open up the file that says Copy Text. And pull that down so we can see both things. on this, with this one here, I want you to grab your regular type tool for a second, and I want you to highlight the text. Oops, sorry about that. Highlight your text. Go to Edit, Copy. Okay, and then we're going to click back on our lesson here. Want you to switch over to something called the Area Type tool. We're going to come and we're going to click on the path. You have to click on the path of this circle. And we're going to go to Edit, Paste. And it should paste all of the type that was in there. Notice you can still change. If you grab your regular type tool, I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing here. I can change my alignment again, so left, center, right. I can also do what's called justify, and we're going to do that by opening up the paragraph panel. So you should know justify means to stretch from side to side. These are your basic alignments. That just talks about if you're going to have one means of alignment. So it's going to line up on one side, either the right, or it's going to line up on the left, or it's going to line up in the center. Okay, that's what alignment is. It has one line. Justification means it's going to try to stretch it so that it lines up on both sides. Now this is tough because of the text that we have. So you can see what justify all does. This is where you get those weird gaps. But I want you to go ahead and click justify all just so you can see what that looks like. So that's your content area tool. We're going to do that one more time, but this time we're going to make our own weird shape. So I want you to grab the pen tool, and I want you to just click. I don't care how many points you grab, just make a weird shape. Double click on that pen tool, so I'm double clicking here, so it makes sure that it ends me drawing a shape. Go ahead and grab that area tool, come over to that shape, click again. We're going to go to Edit, Paste one more time. You can change the shape. Here's the cool thing. So if I click, and with my direct selection tool, I can still change that shape, and it will alter that content fill. So go ahead and do that with a weird shape and go to File, Save. Okay, moving on. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the character and the character panel. So let's click on the circle one. And we're going to open up the character panel, which is up here. Click on that in your control panel. This is where some of those funny words that come into play, where we've talked about kerning and leading and tracking. So you notice you can change your font size in here. Okay. The kerning, it's probably not going to work for most of the fonts that you use. I'm just going to let you know, you can try. Instead, it's going to tell you just use the tracking. So if you go ahead and click those up and down arrows, you'll notice, if you look really closely, it is changing the spacing between the letters, not the words, but it's either making the letters closer or farther apart. This is your leading, which is the space between the lines. So see how it's shrinking them? You can get so little that they're actually overlapping. So it's kind of like spacing and double spacing. But because you have that justification, notice it's doing some really weird things. You can also change on your font scale. So you can make the letters wider or more narrow. You can also make the text taller and shorter. Okay, that's what it kind of does in a paragraph. I want you to click on your vertical type tool. We're going to do that, actually, let's go back to your very first one. Go back to your very first one that you did. And let's click on that character panel again so you can kind of see some of the changes a little bit better. So notice if I'm doing that scale, see how it's shrinking the height of the letters? Shrinking and enlarging the width of the letters. It's literally stretching them one at a time, similar to what we did with the free transforming, but not quite the same. And here's your tracking where it's spacing them together. And if I go far enough, I'll actually start to get them to overlap. Okay? So go ahead and try that. That's that character panel. So when you're dealing with your spacing of your words and your letters, you're going to want to play around with that a little bit. Okay. Let's go ahead and stay on our first name, our first word here. And we're just going to go into a little bit of some of the styles. So with that active, I want you to go to effects, and you're going to go to the first stylized, not this bottom section, the first one up here. And notice you have some basic effects. So if I click on drop shadow, you can click preview. Note that it's going to slow your computer way down, just so you're aware. And you can play with how opaque, how far off it is on the XY axis. So you can kind of play with those. That's what those things do. Blur is just obviously how little or how much is going to blur that. So go ahead and apply a drop shadow. It's going to, now my computer's going to bog down. That's okay. All right, on the other one that you manipulated, the second word, we're going to go back again, and I'm just going to have you play. You can apply any of the other ones you want. Scribble's kind of a fun one, because it makes it look like somebody took crayon and scribbled with it, but you can use any of the ones that you want in there. But so go ahead and apply one of the other styles on there. We are almost done, guys. Have a little bit of fun. Go to File, Save when you're done with that. And let me look in my notes, because I'm trying to remember what last thing I wanted you to do. Let's do this. Go ahead and grab your type tool, your regular type tool. Let's click one more time. Go ahead and type another word. Make this one 72 as well. And this time, let's see, what do I want you to do? There was one more thing I wanted you guys to do today. Go ahead and pause me or fast forward. As I'm looking quickly as I can through my notes, because I can't remember. It's sticking in my head. I know there's one more thing I wanted you to remember. Nope, I'm blanking, guys, so we'll stop there. I'll probably have to show you in class unless I get this video re-recorded by the time you see it. All right, have a good one.